I've heard the natives say, when I was a kid, the grandma and grandpas used to tell us not to go to the whistling. Don't go to the whistles. That says there's something whistling already and they're aware of it, but don't go to it. A tree fell, which was kind of strange. Banjo was kind of unnerved. He kept barking, kept kind of growling at the tree line over here. The tree fell down here. I was kind of walking right up here, and I was looking over here because that's where the tree fell. And it's all of a sudden I heard it sounded like a kid or a woman. Hear that? But it seemed like it went from this kid-like sound until I whistled, and then it started whistling back exactly like me. So I almost felt like it was mocking me in a way. There it is. That's just what I heard. I didn't see anything. I felt a little creeped out.
Not a lot of people live in Alaska. With a population of just over 700,000, it's the third least populated state, with Vermont and Wyoming coming in second and first place. There quite literally are more caribou than humans in Alaska, with an estimated population of almost 900,000 caribou present. Alaska also being the largest state, it has the most amount of forests and the most amount of wilderness of any state as well. What little population is present there tends to cluster in a few parts of the state. One is the southeast, near the capital Juneau and its surrounding areas. Another is towards the center of the state by the city of Fairbanks, with a borough population of just under 100,000 people. Then you have where roughly 40% of the population lives, in south-central Alaska, meaning Anchorage and its surrounding areas, like the Matanuska-Susitna Valley and so on. With huge wildlife, more than enough space for them, and a very low human population, Alaska is as wild as it gets in the 21st century. In Alaska, you don't have to be very far from town to encounter large wildlife. In fact, many encounters happen in the few suburban and even urban areas of the state. It should come as no surprise that a majority of reported encounters with Sasquatches also occur on the outskirts of the populated parts of Alaska. In a previous Beyond the Trail video in Alaska, we journeyed out into the wilds in a bush plain to camp near glaciers, mountains, and the thick forests that line them. This was a chance to fly over areas that likely have rarely ever seen human activity, which is probably a majority of Alaska's vast open spaces, including much of its 129 million acres of forested land. This time around, however, we will focus on the areas closer to south central Alaska, around the city of Anchorage and the Matsu Valley, focusing on the various Sasquatch stories that have taken place in this region. The Bigfoot Art Gallery in Palmer, run by longtime Sasquatch artist RobRoy Menzies, has become a focal point in south central Alaska for local Sasquatch reports to be told over the years. So we're back at the Bigfoot Art Gallery after many years. RobRoy has remodeled this place. Got some cool stuff everywhere. This is kind of the Area A section, if you want to say. Got some of the casts that have been found out there. This one was done in like some kind of like this foam. You've got the track that RobRoy had found. And then this is the soundboard where you can listen to some of the audio. Let's see if I can play one of these. Got the baby sounds, number 2. So this is all the stuff that's been recorded over the years. You can see, this is a lot of it David Ellis found. Just another cool thing you can see here at the Bigfoot Art Gallery. You know, this is a lot of guitars and stuff here too. This is more framing and matting, but you have, of course, a lot of guitars. Does some wonderful, you know, framing and matting stuff, but there you have it. A lot of cool masks. Beautiful artwork, of course. Some of RobRoy's Bigfoot art, of course. You got to have that. There you go. I was going to ask if there was some commonality you've noticed in the witnesses and the people who report stuff, or it just seems to be all over the map. In terms of
it's kind of all over the map, but I can tell you what, having a store called the Bigfoot Art Gallery, it already helps them to you know, feel comfortable in here. They walk in, they don't have their guard up. I get the feeling some of them don't tell a lot of people about it. And, you know, me, I'll get talking to them a little bit and, you know, just kind of joking around a little bit, and they'll eventually tell me. And sometimes I get the feeling they've been wanting to tell the story for so long, they just don't know who to talk to. And, you know, I'll listen to them. So I get a lot of that too. But observing it, it's all over the board. I get people from the lower 48, from here, the native, you know, Alaskan natives coming in and telling me, you know, stuff that, wow, that just verifies everything I've heard. You know, the don't go to the whistling, you know, the whistles, the knocks, all this stuff is common knowledge with a lot of these people. I've heard the natives say, when I was a kid, the grandma and grandpas used to tell us not to go to the whistling. Don't go to the whistles. That says there's something whistling already and they're aware of it, but don't go to it. It's just fascinating. It just fascinates me. You know, and you talk to a lot of the Alaska natives, and they're pretty much on the believer fence. I have had some rare interactions with some native Alaskans that were like, yeah, that's just stories. It's just stories to tell the kids. But the majority of them are pretty much, you know, believers and truly think that these things are out there. So there's something is definitely out there doing this, and I don't think it's porcupines. You know, yeah, why wouldn't they be? You know, I guess if something made it through all those hundreds of different kinds of hominids. I mean, have you ever seen a chart, an illustrative chart of all the different hominids we found? There's just a bunch of them. And it's funny because they all look like Bigfoot, you know? I mean, but some are only this big, they're small. But, you know, some think it's the Gigantopithecus blackie. I tend to, I don't know, that sounds, just the size alone maybe might make sense, but the actions don't make sense. But, you know, I don't know how they got here. I don't know what they are, but it sounds like they're here.
Rob gets a lot in his shop, and you just hear about them. People have stories There's local tribes that have stories, and we're in an area called South Central Alaska, but it's a pretty big area, South Central Alaska, and it accompanies the Kenai Peninsula and the Anchorage Bowl. And then as you get farther north, you go into the interior, then there's Southwest Alaska, Southeast Alaska, but South Central Alaska is just a hot spot. And I think it's because we've got big trees here, it's a forest, we've got mountains, and even in urban environments, on the edge of town, I mean, even in town, there's bears and moose and wolves. I mean, there's just so much thick forest and animals. It's very wild up here.
We're up higher in elevation here. Obviously this is not the typical place you'd imagine wildlife to be. Bears do get up here, moose. I don't know if there's been Sasquatch sightings specifically here at this kind of elevation, but they've been sighted down this valley and the other way of Hatcher Pass. We've covered that in previous films in previous years, especially down in that section of Hatcher Pass. That's where it starts getting really wooded. You have a lot of gold mine claims. There's that really interesting sighting RobRoy told us about, in which prospectors came across two Sasquatches grabbing branches and stripping the leaves, kind of like gorillas do. So you have that. And there's stories down towards Palmer and Wasilla this way, opposite of me. So obviously I don't expect to run into something here, especially on a day like this, but this is kind of the high elevation environment you get around a lot of the mountains around here, surrounding the populated areas of Alaska, the Matsu Valley, Palmer, Wasilla, and then further south, obviously Anchorage. And you gotta remember, these are the kind of mountains that surround all of these populated areas, really. So this is the knockoff Into the Wild bus. It is not the real Into the Wild bus, of course, but some people seem to think so. Beautiful area. Been here when it was very snowy, but now it's, you know, obviously end summer. Not a lot in here. Just kind of what's left of the bus. Bit of a wild camping spot along the road here. You've got the hills starting there, and some of the vegetation, the forest is really kicking in. So that's a cool little area. Definitely worth checking out if you're visiting Hatcher Pass.
Willow, I know Willow was kind of my first experience with the word hotspot. I heard a lot of people talking about Willow, And as I kind of adventured and spent more time around there and talked to some of the locals, it's not just Willow, it's Trapper Creek, which is right next to Willow. It's Houston, it's the lakes, it's that whole area. Even through Hatcher's Pass, there's been sightings in Hatcher's Pass. And, you know, there's gold mines up there. I don't know if that has something to do with it, you know, something with gold or quartz. Some people think there's something to do with, I heard one crazy story that a witness saw a Bigfoot chewing on a piece of white quartz, actually chewing on it. And it's crazy. I'm like, what? I met Ron Moorhead in here and I told him that. We were talking about it. And that guy went right into, well, that's interesting because quartz is, and he went into all these theories about how gold has got all these, you know, properties that I was kind of like set back going, wow, well, you know, I thought it sounded kind of crazy to me, but you know, who knows? You know, until we have one in my garage, I can't really say. But some things, you know, I take with a grain of salt. A lot of things I do, but it makes sense.
What was the details of that quartz story?
It was just a witness saw them literally chewing on a piece of quartz. Now it's not sucking on it, actually like chewing, like trying to eat it. And we're talking the white rock, the quartz that's white and generally has gold in it. So Ron Moore said, oh yeah, well, gold is a conductor, but he started just thinking, processing it. He's a very, very smart guy, but you know, it's kind of funny because I thought he would just go, oh, ha, ha. But no, he went into this whole kind of, oh, that makes sense, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're kind of thinking, I'm like, whoa. But you know, from my experience, I've heard, like I said, Willow was a hot spot, but I've lived here now, you know, the more I've kind of looked into it, the more it seems to be they're everywhere here. Out past Chickaloon, there was a man that came in and was having rocks thrown on his roof. Him and his wife just moved into their new home, and he said, something's throwing rocks on the roof. And he said, it's leaving dents in the roof, it's a steel roof. And it's scaring the grandchildren, you know, and he was confused. He didn't know, you know, he was feeling me out. Cute old man came in here and he's like, do you believe in Bigfoot? I'm like, no, well, yeah, I do. Why? What's up? He told me the story. So that's at Chickaloon. I'm like, okay, duly noted. I think that was the first time I've ever had a story from Chickaloon, but it was from the source, which was really golden. And it was such a cool story, the way he came in. He was, you know, he's just this old retired old guy, had these overalls on, little pot belly. He came in, I thought he was probably gonna look at art or get something matted and framed. He starts looking at the Bigfoot stuff. And so I give him a couple minutes and then hey, how you doing? He says, oh, good. And he says, do you believe in Bigfoot? I said, yeah, I do. I think I do. He says, well, I have a predicament. And I'm like, what is that? And he proceeded to tell me the story. So hearing these firsthand is just awesome. I love hearing the firsthand stories.
It's just a really mysterious area. I can't think of any specific stories, but I know there's been a lot of Bigfoot sightings up there. It's just so rural, and that's when you're starting to get into the interior, and it sort of changes slowly from these forests to more of a boreal forest, mountains, and then you start seeing kind of tundra landscape where it's like this soft, mushy moss. So it gets tougher and tougher to navigate back in the wilderness. There's not as many people back there because it's hard to get back there.
It's only early September here in Alaska, but it's already feeling like fall, very much temperature-wise. It's in the 50s, low 50s, high 40s. The leaves are starting to change. A lot of leaves have already fallen off the trees. Alaskan fall comes quick. Summer ends very quickly too, so We just got out of August and we're already in September. And again, fall is right here, and by the end of September, I imagine it'll already be snowy and getting cold, and especially in the higher elevations like this mountain behind me. So it makes you wonder what all the creatures are doing right now, how they're prepping, getting ready for that winter, the moose and the bear and all the other animals that either hibernate or don't hibernate. Makes you wonder what a Sasquatch would do in this kind of conditions. I don't know. That's obviously a big question that I think a lot of us have. How would they survive these climates? Right now I'm real close to the edge of civilization here. We've got Palmer and the Matsu Valley right here. But basically behind me, it just opens up into a giant mountain range. You could hike up there and get into some real remote areas that just go on for hundreds, if not thousands of miles throughout Alaska. It just kind of goes to show how we can be so close to civilization yet be in such a remote area, and how wildlife regularly comes in and out of areas like this. So I've been going to the different kind of outskirts. Hatcher Pass is that way. It's covered in clouds right now. In one direction it can be good weather, in another direction it can be terrible weather. It just kind of depends where you go. But the wildlife doesn't seem to matter. So if there are Sasquatches kind of skirting the edge of civilization, this area is as good as any. You have hills to regress right into. The river, obviously, tons of bear and moose and other creatures seen right in this very area I'm standing in. So Alaska may have some civilization, but it really is it feels like a little outpost. This valley is kind of an outpost of humanity, and nature has moved very closely, and nature's basically on our doorstep here in these kind of, even in the populated areas of Alaska.
I've heard stories from that direction, the Matsu River. One guy came in and told me this crazy story. Him and his buddy were moose hunting on the Matsu River. They're on the river, and on the other side of the river, this 5 foot tall, maybe 6 foot, he said it wasn't that tall, but it came out of the woods, and he said the face looked like a bat. So that's what I did. I'm like, a bat? What do you mean? He said it was hairy, but the face was like a bat. And I said, what do you mean, the ears? And I think he said the ears and the nose, you know, the ape gorilla nose. I said, what do you mean, a bat? Like, you know, some bats have like an ape-like nose, open hood. He said, yeah, kind of like that. So I kind of jokingly called him Matanuska Batman. There's been a few more. Recently, it was a rock being thrown at a guy. I cannot remember what river it was, but it was close to around here. But he said these rocks were big, like almost basketball size, and they were thrown like a baseball. Like he said, as if they would have hit him, they would have probably killed him.
So Eklutna Lake is a pretty rural area. I mean, it's a pretty far drive back there. It's nestled in this mountainous bowl, and then it's just a really big lake. It's kind of a mysterious area, but there's a 8-mile long trail that goes to a very secluded campground in the back there, and then there's several trails that go up mountains, and there's tons of bears there. It's just a really wild, secluded place, and it's definitely a hot spot for Bigfoot activity. A lot of people have told me, go to Eklutna, go to Eklutna.
Do you know of stories up by Eklutna Lake? Have you heard anything from Eklutna Lake area?
You know what, I know Fred Roll has a couple stories from Eklutna. I heard it, I want to say, you know, I talk about Area A, there's 2 tree knocks I've heard. It actually was the second. I've heard a tree knock up there, but I didn't believe it. I was up there ATVing and went past the lake, was exploring this just dried up riverbed. I mean, it was a beautiful hot summer day. Finding Bigfoot was on. This is back when Finding Bigfoot was on, you know, new. And I believe that started the whole tree knocking phase, you know, kind of taught people how to tree knock. But anyway, I remember because of Finding Bigfoot, I'm standing there looking at this huge mountain, and I'm standing in this empty riverbed, exploring it a little bit. And I look down, and there's this kind of down tree laying there, and there was this baseball bat looking stick. And of course, you know, I thought, oh yeah, let me just try it. And I whacked it twice, and I sat there, and I got a knock return from the mountain. But my mind just immediately rejected it. I just went, no, that's gotta be there's probably a hiker up there watching me or something. I did it a few more times and it did not do it again. But I just discounted that. I think that just doesn't happen to me, you know, no way. So, you know, I've heard a couple other stories from Fred Roll. He's got some good stories. I think he's got one from Eklutna Lake. I believe it was him who found a dead black bear up there once, which is kind of amazing. You never find a bear in the woods, you know, dead bear. He actually found one. It was shot or something. It was just kind of decaying, but Eklutna's a pretty, I mean, I think where there's bears and other animals, there's going to be, these things can live, you know. They're kind of eating the same thing the bears are. And the bears will go from berries, herbivore, you know, to meat if they get the opportunity. Why wouldn't they be opportunists? You know, maybe that's why there's some stories that Bigfoot gets in the garbage cans and stuff. You know, if it's an easy meal, they'll take it.
Structure made of driftwood. Before anyone gets excited, it says made by humans. It's in a very human occupied area. Someone even put a grinder in here. Nice. Next, I headed to Eagle River, which is technically a suburb of Anchorage, despite being tucked up further into the mountains. RobRoy had a strange encounter up there this past winter while visiting one of his favorite fishing spots and wanted to show me the area. So what happened here?
Well, apparently a gentleman, actually my neighbor, was walking down his dog like I do a lot. I come here at least twice a week. Happened a little further down where we're going, not here at the actual Barber Falls, is like right here. So, but he was walking his dog, and there was a sow brown bear with her, I think, 3 cubs, and saw the dog first and came out of the grass. They were sleeping. Came out of the grass line and pretty much attacked the man. And he sprayed it with bear spray. He thinks he shot it twice, but it still jumped on top of him, and it kind of scratched up his arm. He was super lucky. He was super lucky. And it left him alone. So it didn't hurt his dog. I guess that's the plus. It didn't hurt the dog. But 3 days before this, I walked into this trail I'm taking you, and I mean, not even 3 steps in, little black bear cub was to my right. So it's very traveled what we're going on here, but when we break off to where I'm taking you, it's less traveled.
Tell me a little bit about, you don't have to give away the specifics of this area, but
Sure.
Where are we at right now?
Well, we're near my home here up in Highland Mountain and Eagle River, Alaska. So this is one of my favorite trails because it's so close to my home. Oh, check it out. There goes something right there. That was some kind of bird of prey. Anyway, as you see, it's got plenty of animal, wildlife, bears, lynx, moose. There's a lot you can see here. There's owls, there's woodpeckers, there's all kinds of birds. But this is close to my home. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bears out, and there was a bear mauling here about a month ago. So this is actually my first time that I've come down here since the bear mauling. But aside from that, I've had some kind of strange things happen here recently. One involving this trail right here. Matter of fact, it was a little further down, about where Banjo is, but a tree had just fallen. This was in the wintertime, and we still hike down here in the wintertime. Lots of people use this trail. So a tree fell, which was kind of strange. Banjo's was kind of unnerved. He kept barking, kept kind of growling at the tree line over here. The tree fell down here. So I was walking up this way. I was kind of walking right up here, and I was looking over here because that's where the tree fell. And it's all of a sudden I heard it sounded like a kid or a woman kind of just make a or sound coming from over on this side. And I have the videotape. And I said out loud, oh, now something's saying, it sounds like something's coming from this side. And I stopped and I heard something, and so I whistled. I'm not a good whistler, so that's exactly what it sounded like. But then something whistled back, returned the whistle. And I did it a couple more times, and it did it. And what was really interesting to me is it sounded just like me. It wasn't like there was another person over there who whistled back at me because I'm such a crappy whistler. It sounded like me. But it seemed like it went from this kid-like sound until I whistled, and then it started whistling back exactly like me. So I almost felt like it was mocking me in a way. What was that, Banjo? Well, guys, this was kind of weird. I'm standing here, we're taking a break, going on the final stretch, going home. And Banjo starts kind of staring off into the woods over here. Intently staring off in the woods. I don't hear anything, and all of a sudden a tree gets shoved over. And as you can see, Banjo's still, it just happened. So we're gonna walk around this way, and hopefully it's just because the wind's blowing. Of course, you look around here, there's all kinds of trees that have fallen over. That was kind of weird. I hope there's not a big moose or something. What do you think, Banjo? Huh? What do you think, Banjo? Come on down. What is it, Doug? We're just walking through. I'm just walking through here. It was like that tree right over there. It's like 40 feet in the woods there is where I saw it. I just saw the tree just come down. It's like it was blown over, pushed. And Banjo's still on edge. Weird. I'm hearing something over here too. Sounds like a kid yelling or something, a cat crying or weird. Hear that? Hear that? It's like whistling. literally sounds like me trying to whistle. Because I'm a horrible whistler. I don't know. That's just what I heard. I didn't see anything. I felt a little creeped out, but I know there's a couple trees that rub around here. I know what they sound like. It wasn't that. There's nobody over there. If there was, that would certainly explain it. But there's nothing but a creek down there, and there's no trails. Anyway, very unusual.
It was winter, right? So there was a lot of snow.
There was snow.
How much snow are we talking?
Not very much. We didn't get a lot of snow last winter. So you could literally walk into the woods here and not do any kind of, pole stabbing or anything. It was very, very minimal. It was just cold, it still gets very, very cold. So it's very crispy, it's very loud when you walk on it. It's very loud snow.
I mean, the bears are hibernating that time of year. There's really only moose.
Really only moose, lynx, I would say maybe a bird or a lynx but the way it was, right after it would whistle. It was like an echo of my whistle almost. It was really strange. I've never experienced that here. And as we get further down the river, I'll show you a couple more things that have happened to me too. But it's all recent. I've been hiking this for years. So.
Yeah, this is an area that you frequent a lot. So it's not like you're out here doing
I'm
Bigfoot
super
stuff.
Comfortable down here until the bear attack. But
so you come down here, you're not doing Bigfoot stuff, right?
No,
what are you doing down here?
Fishing, hanging out, relaxing. My work, it's very stressful. On my days off, I don't have a lot of time. So what I do is I simply do what I do, take the side-by-side down here, and Banjo and I'll take my little camping chair and my backpack, couple drinks, some water for him, maybe some snacks, my fishing pole and some lures, and I go down there and just hang out in the sun and de-stress and watch animal life, watch the people floating by in the rafts, and it's my little place of zen. So, but my zen has been disturbed.
Yeah, bear attack.
A bear attack will disturb it, and I usually will avoid the area for at least a month after an attack like that. So it's good to feel, to come back and not feel so freaked out. I came back here about 2 weeks ago, and I walked a little bit further down where we're going, and I had to turn around. I just did not feel comfortable. It was so quiet. But anyway, yeah, this is kind of a strange the last little gasp to the trail, and I'm hearing stuff, but you can hear people over there now. But yeah, over there is where it was coming from. So.
Let's check on what else.
Let's keep going. Yeah, the tree that Banjo and I took a break right up here in this little open spot, and he was laying down. He was laying down right there, and I just got done taping him, and he started growling. He started growling this way, kind of looking up, and all of a sudden, it's probably, 60 to 80 foot spruce tree comes crashing down, and of course, it made a huge ruckus. It was not the wind was blowing a little bit, but not enough to blow a tree down. But we did have a big, huge windstorm like 4 days prior to this. So it could have been a tree just ready to go down. But it still unnerved me because we have moose and the bears are still out. He was really acting strange. And the whole entire time we walked up here, I kept looking over there going, okay. He kept growling and growling and growling over there. And then the whistle started on the right. So it was just kind of a bizarre evening.
And this is a power line cut behind you?
Right here, yeah. This is a pretty significant one too. And Doug Hychak?
Yeah.
He did a video once. Basically, somebody wrote him and said, what's the best way for, or the best area to look for if you're new to Bigfoot squatching? And from what I remember, he said, well, if you could find a good power cut line, tree line, a creek, that runs then into a river, he said that's a great place to start. And that's exactly what I thought. Oh my God, that's exactly what I have here. There's this extreme power cut here that's pretty big.
Well, I would agree, because in New Hampshire, I get reports a lot that are on power lines. One of the best knocks I ever heard
Right.
was on a power line.
Well, and
So
it's
there's
not
something
just
to it.
not just because it's convenient or anything. It's when they clear this, it's the new growth, it's the new berries, it's
That's
the
what
new
moose
leaves,
like
it's
to feed
food.
on.
Yeah. So, and then there's Highland Creek, which salmon, all species of salmon run up Highland Creek. It's plentiful with fish, and then we have Eagle River, which it runs into down there. So
Just because we're close to, close to civilization
Right.
in Alaska and Anchorage,
yeah.
we're still in a very wild area. That
This
has a lot
is off, kind of off away from even Eagle River. Eagle River is is along, 15 minutes away from Anchorage, which is the biggest city. But we're up here in the actual mountains, which is why we get this kind of lush wildlife up here, more than the average person in Anchorage. They'll see moose and something, but the amount of bears we have up here is incredible. So.
And there's a history of reports in this area too, right? Of Sasquatch.
Yes, there are.
In and around the area.
There are reports from Eagle River. The Eagle River Visitor Center is down that way. You can drive down there, and somewhere out in the internet universe, there's an article, and I thought it was on Bobby Short's website. But in 1977, a couple gentlemen had a sighting out at the Visitor Center, and supposedly made a cast of a footprint. Like a pretty big one, 17-inch long footprint. And I remember reading the article. I mean, I have a photographic memory kind of art. I remember it, but I cannot find it anywhere. So if anybody has heard of that or has read that article, let me know. But that would have been down there about another 10 miles. So I've heard not many. I've heard some very few stories about Bigfoot up here. The little whistling thing that I went through, I don't know. I didn't see anything, but it was unusual. It did sound like something was doing it on purpose, But, this is the scary part here. This is what we're going to go through, is I usually make a lot of noise.
Well, what's interesting is, you are in an area where I guess there is a lot of human interaction, but all the big species in Alaska,
Right.
the bear, the moose, they're here.
They're here.
Doesn't matter where close
Yes.
to town.
I've had 2 moose encounters right around the corner here where we're going.
So in a hypothetical, what would prevent a Sasquatch from also using these same areas?
It is. It's and you read a lot. I've read a lot about the Bigfoots that kind of seem to stick with the outskirts of a smaller town. So that's this place perfectly, even more extreme, because we're even on the outskirts of the smaller town. Up here in the mountains, we're up with the big ones, the big brown bears, and the big they're up here right now. There's bears in here, there's moose in here, there's lynx. I hope we get to see something cool at a distance for your sake. But I don't want to have a close encounter. I don't want to have a close encounter with a bear. A Bigfoot would be super shocking up here, but that would be a super plus. But you never know. I come down here all the time, and I'm always looking for movement. Anything, wildlife, I just love it. I love this place. So let's keep going. So again, I don't know, I can't even count how many moose I've seen on this trail.
So you've seen a lot of moose in this
A lot of
area.
moose. Yeah, we were walking back, and there was a cow standing right there eating. And
Moose?
Yeah, just standing right there eating. I didn't see it till I was right about here. And I looked. Banjo was about 10 feet behind me, carrying his stick, thank God, worn out from the day. So we were both able to walk right by her. She didn't care at all.
She didn't react.
Ears never went down. She just kind of looked at us.
Realized you weren't a threat.
Right. That's what he's been waiting for. He's been waiting for this all week. Haven't you? That's the banjo seal of approval right there.
It gets creepy in here, huh?
Yeah, not bad, no. I don't feel creepy in here. I'm usually packing anyway, but because I frequent it so often, I just don't feel creeped out.
But that one night after the bear attack.
After the bear attack, I did. It's kind of like, I think it's human nature. I don't know if it's probably a lot to do with psychology too. But
I bet.
So see, it splits here. I looked right into the woods, maybe 150 feet, and there's a cow moose just staring at me.
So you felt like you were being watched right here?
But I felt like I was being watched, and I did.
And then the moose was right there.
About 150 feet into the trees, and you can see it's, I mean, it's not real easy to, but I just looked right at her. She was looking right at me.
So as Les Stroud once told me, you know, you're out in the woods, you're always being watched.
Yeah.
You might not know by what. Could be a grasshopper.
Sure.
Or could be a moose.
Yeah. But I did. I'm like, wow, something. I just looked right over, and it was over there. And spent 2 hours down on the river, came back, and she was only like 30 feet. She moved. That's it. She was still there.
Wait, so you saw a brown bear cub right in this spot?
Yeah. And like I said, I scared it. I don't know if it was sleeping, eating.
Well, what happened? You heard it run off?
Yeah, I was walking this way. You know, I'm walking up just like I am here. And like I said, I practice being noisy through here because there are so many bears. But I had been quiet. I was walking along, and I thought to myself, oh, I haven't yelled or anything for like 5 minutes. You know, I've been walking, being quiet. So I just started bursting out in whatever, a song or something, and I startled it. I couldn't see it because it was much thicker than this, but I could tell it wasn't a moose. I could just tell. It was way more crazy. It just went crashing. And then I saw it right in between some trees, and thank God it was running. It ran across the creek, and then I caught it running that way. And by the time it ran across the creek, Banjo was 10 feet behind me. He started barking. He comes running up past me, and I thought, oh no, because it was clearly a cub. It was pretty big, but it was a cub. I thought, Mama's up here or something, because he kept going up the trail. So I went for my pistol, and but no, we were good. You know, thank God. That was it. That was the excitement. It was over. Didn't see another bear. So, but yeah, if we get across this creek and get on the beach, hopefully we'll get a lot of bear sightings.
Prints. Yeah.
Prints.
Let's check it out. So this is
all
brown.
the seeds
This is
in
brown bear.
Look at the size of that, or it's a big black bear. That's pretty big. It's definitely been here for a little while. It looks like people run their bikes through it and stuff, but
we're not far from where this recent attack happened.
This is where it was at.
Right in this
From what
area?
I understand, yeah, right in here.
Oh, wow.
The bears were sleeping. I think it was past this creek, but it was right down here is where it happened.
So the guy tried to spray the bear, basically.
Yeah, bear spray. He sprayed it twice that he remembers, but the bear still jumped on him. Did a little scratch into his arm, and thank God let him go and ran off. So super lucky. I feel lucky. It wasn't me and Banjo, you know, but
keep our heads on a swivel out here.
Yep. This is usually where everybody stops, you know, locals and whatnot. But the trail continues across, and we're almost to Eagle River.
But this is definitely where there's going to be a lot of bears.
Yeah. Last summer I talked to a fly fisherman, and he had just saw the weekend before two pretty good. He said both of them were pretty big, right there in an open spot across the creek. And he was fly fishing. He walked up to this area and saw them, and I don't know if he made a noise but they saw him, and one of them stood up. He said it was pretty impressive. But they both stayed over there, thank God.
Brown bears.
Yeah, 2 brown bears together, right there.
And you see a lot of black bears down here too?
Yeah, you see a lot of black bears. Almost just as common though is to see brown bears here.
But is it the rule that if you see a brown bear, usually means there's not a black bear in the area, and vice versa?
Could be. They seem to respect each other's little ways, but I mean, there's a lot of brown bears down here, and it's usually the brown bears that are attacking people too.
Black bears are not that prone?
Yeah, I'm not as, you know, if I see a black bear, I don't get as, you know, freaked out, because they're pretty jumpy. It's the sows, it's the mother brown bears with babies. They just are angry. It's like they will just jump on you no matter what. So I do not like any kind of encounter with a sow and cubs. But
I don't blame you.
So far I've been lucky, and I think I don't sound stupid, but being loud, really loud on the trail, it gives them a bigger warning. basically.
Hey, we got to get out of
the way.
here. Yeah, let's get out of here.
Instead of scaring him, because that's what this guy did. And I think this is I think where the attack was in here. But
wow.
he was walking, I imagine being quiet too. He had his dog, probably had a bear bell.
Yeah.
The mama bear saw him first, so the dog first, but it attacked the man. Imagine that. Thanks, dog. Thanks, man's best friend.
As you can probably tell by now, bear danger is a huge risk in this part of Alaska and should not be taken lightly at all.
It's a big threat level. I mean, a lot of it depends on the bear, but they are, you know, the apex predator basically up here. Nothing can really beat them unless we get into Bigfoot maybe, but I mean, they are, a lot of them aren't scared of anything. If you've got a really old male that's grumpy, sometimes a young male bear is really dangerous because they're curious and they want to check you out. And then probably the most dangerous is a sow with cubs. They'll just rip you apart just to make sure you're not a threat. You know, they can top 1,000 pounds, all, you know, muscle and bone and claw and teeth. We had one guy at the Russian River, this angry sow flipped him to the side so she could bite his face off. I mean, it's just brutal. They will kill you. And they've been known to feed on human bodies. They'll eat you. Even the black bears up here will feed on your body and eat you if they're hungry. I don't know what's going on. They've just exploded. I mean, every year we have a few bear attacks. Sometimes they're fatal, but I mean, it's literally every summer. It's pretty rare for a summer and a fall to go by without a bear attack. But this last year, they've just been exploding. I mean, we've got multiple attacks of women getting dragged off by brown bears and grizzly bears. And there was a brutal attack less than a mile from where we're sitting right now in Rob's neighborhood. But I mean, I don't know what's going on. These bears are just, maybe there's more of them or there's more media coverage, so we're hearing about it more, but there's been some brutal bear attacks where they're dragging people out in the bushes and chewing on them. It's brutal. There was one like I could drive to the trailhead in less than 10 minutes from my house, and it was another account where another woman was dragged and bitten by what they think was a brown bear, and then she managed to, you know, type a SOS message on her smartphone, and it took first responders like an hour to find her because she had been dragged out in the brush. And I mean, this brush is really thick this time of year in the summer. So, I mean, yeah, it's just scary. I would be careful in thick brush if it's an area that's in between rivers and mountainsides where there's berries or there's bear scat in the area. Thick brush, a lot of these attacks happen because people startle a bear and its head pops up, and then they can run 40 miles an hour. They'll break through logs like a bulldozer and, you know, rip you apart. So bear spray and firearms is what I suggest. And another thing they do, if you make a brown bear angry, they like to circle around, get downwind of you, and then run at you 35 miles an hour to the side and like ambush you. They're sneaky. So, and that's typically what they do. They'll spot you, circle around, and just run at you from the back or the side. And sometimes even if you have a firearm, there's nothing you can do because you got a split second before they're on top of you. So the best thing to do is go in groups as well. Become prepared, go in groups, because the people who survive are the ones that have a buddy or two to get the bear off them when they're being attacked. Well, we've talked about how dangerous the bears are and just all the bear attacks this year. I'll never forget the story a Tlingit elder told me down in Southeast. He said that a tribal member saw a big Sasquatch walk up to a full-grown grizzly bear and just grab it, snap its neck, and just kind of throw it on its shoulder and walked off. And so you talk about imagining some kind of power, that's a lot of strength to be able to do that. So it's pretty scary.
This is Highland Creek. So I'm gonna look at it here. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's pretty high still. This was all water. about, you know, a month ago, this was all water in here. This is probably the deepest it gets is right here. And then, you know, that's pretty easy, but.
This feels very remote, even though, I mean, we're not that far out from town. But this just backs up into millions of acres.
Sure, it goes forever, goes on forever. Pretty much a lot of the fauna and whatnot is kind of the similar as everywhere else in Alaska, but it's just thicker here. But lots of salmon. This is a great river to fish. I fish here all the time. Yeah, I've been coming down here for 25 years. This is just a beautiful place to come. Yeah.
Possible bear tracks down there?
Possibly. They look like it. You know, big oval. Especially those two down there right on the side. They look fresh too.
I'm gonna go down there.
Keep going this way along the river.
That one right there, I bet.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's bear all right. Oh yeah, look at that. You can see the claws and everything. Yep.
No,
Bear
Banjo,
slide.
you can't go down there. No.
Looks like the bear. You can see the prints really good there. Walking along here. See the toes and the claws. There's a claw scrape on that one. You can see that pretty good. And it keeps going this way along the river.
There's a salmon
Salmon just jumped
right
next
next
to me.
to you.
I missed it. I could have grabbed it.
Yeah, there's some interesting slide marks here from the bear.
Yeah, I can see him from here. Just walking along, I mean, waiting for a fish to show up. This is a little community farm right here.
But you were mentioning you had seen some tracks or something up the way?
I found what looked like tracks right around the corner over there. Trying to get to a really hard to get little eddy, little place to fish. And you know, there they were. It was kind of, you had to step down into this little area, and I can show you where they were. But they were, you know, they were the classic Fred Flintstone looking mosh down, and one of them had what appeared to look like toes. And I took some good pictures of them. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And he just walked off into the creek, and I couldn't see where he came out of the creek. But that was kind of the beginning of the next like 3 years of strangeness. I've had some kind of light experiences here that still to this day make me scratch my head. But never seen anything. I've heard whistles that one time just recently. That was this last winter. Other than that, I'd never expect to see any kind of evidence down here. But I'm always, because like you can see, I'm always looking for bears and the other little critters that live here, because some of this mud leaves such clear definition, such great tracks. You can make some great bear, like plaster pairs tracks over here. It's just, you saw those tracks back there, but like that stuff right there. They step into that. It's perfect. It's like you see all the details. When you see the bear tracks over there, that area I wanted to take you, some of the tracks are just perfect. I mean, specimen, you could take a mold of them and they'd be beautiful, you know. But look at him, Banjo. You know, too bad I should have trained him to be a lobster diver. I'd be a rich man now. You find anything? You catching some fish? Huh? Are you catching some fish? So, interesting track. Nothing definitive. I don't know where the right foot would be. This would be the left foot, but this was covered in snow not long ago. Interesting nonetheless. I see it there. Almost looks like it's got toes, but that could be just pareidolia. I think I'm seeing things, but look at this. There's a footprint here. See that? Okay. Over here. There's one there again. Okay. And here's my foot. It's not real big, but looks like a big toe. Toes under the heel, but then come over here. There's that one. Again. There's my hand. Almost looks like a big toe there. Like these are the toes. Heel. That's a big, broad, look at that heel. That's a big, broad heel. Maybe that's much broader than mine. Weird. So this spot here is where I wanted to get to fish. There wasn't as much water either. The tracks would be in the water. But you could see like something, I could see the tracks start right about here. And they went right into the creek and disappeared. I didn't see where they came out. But, you know, they weren't real big, but they had that very familiar look. I'm really skeptical too. I'm thinking, wow, a bear maybe? Or I mean, they caught my attention right away. And I scanned, I looked at them, I'm looking at each one, and wow, I thought there's, no, not me. I can't be that lucky. No, not here, you know, but this is the spot, right here. Woohoo! Did it!
So we got some bear eating.
Yeah, that's a bear. That's bear right there. Here we go. Ready? Go get it now! Keeps him occupied all day long.
Try not to get my camera all wet. They got me though. They got me good.
Lots of bear.
I could see why, you know, potentially there was something Sasquatch-like.
Sure.
I mean, this area is as good as
See how
any, right?
plentiful it is with fish.
And just, I mean, it just goes over there in that direction. There's nothing but mountains for, and you get the what is it, the Chuke National Forest.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
in that direction there, it's really funny. Would never think, but Crow Creek Pass is that direction. And you walk that trail, you end up in Girdwood.
you could basically go to the Kenai Peninsula from
Yeah,
here.
11 miles to Girdwood right there. So it's pretty, it's a beautiful spot. It just gets bigger as the water will recede and this little landmass here will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's nice. It's really cool to watch evolve and transition.
As you can see, in Alaska, you need not step far outside your door to be in the wild. There are very few places like this left in the world, and while it is truly special to witness, it can be deadly. Life and death is a fine balance in Alaska. In conclusion, perhaps it is truly no surprise that stories of Sasquatch persist in these places. It certainly isn't alone as a large, hairy, and potentially dangerous mammal.
It's pretty interesting. In the city, if you bring up Bigfoot, you'll get more people scoffing. But once you get out into the rural communities, small towns, people believe in that kind of stuff. And then if you go out even farther to what they call Bush Alaska, where you can only get by airplane and boat into villages and native communities, then 100% people really believe in that stuff. So it's pretty interesting. The farther you get out, the more the mystique grows and into more belief. The energy changes. You just feel different once you get kind of outside of civilization, get out into the wild. You become more in tune with your environment to notice things and pick up things like that. And that's where the stuff is. It's way out there.